What's going on, guys? My name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks video. And today I want to answer the question, how bad is it, the IS-4? Well, the IS-4 is probably one of the oldest tier 10 heavy tanks in the game. It used to be a tier 9 one, then it got replaced by the ST1 to be a tier 10, fully fledged tier 10 vehicle. It's also probably one of those vehicles which is actually rather historical-ish, as it definitely had an historic gun in the game. It's a troll gun, it's super bad, but you can actually have a good game in it. But it's incredibly hard and basically you only have to spam gold rounds. So, in the background I'm having a replay running where me, Critical Hit, and Johnny from Odin Mortis having a nice little game. And yeah, to make this video I decided to play 14 games in the IS-4. Always when I want to trash talk or talk about the tank in general, how it is and so on and so forth, I really do want to just have some games in it to get a feel for it and see, well, is it really as bad as everybody says? Yes. So, the IS-4, is it really as bad as everybody says? Yes, it is. The biggest and most frustrating issue about the IS-4 is not really the armor or anything, although I do want to point out that I personally would say that those flanks maybe need like 10 millimeters more. But against gold ammunition, when you can't side scrape, yeah, everybody's just going to fab through your upper front plate. Obviously it's a VK, so that has to be understood. Like, VK has 350 millimeters of heat pen. And this is also why I would love to see on those flanks to have more side armor, because then even the VK will have its fair share of issues to pen there through. But again, not the armor really was the biggest concern. Also not like the bad roof armor, which can be penetrated very quickly. And not the penetration or the alpha strike of the gun in general. Those are all good. They are actually very good in my opinion. 440 alpha is totally decent, totally something you can look forward to when you are shooting this gun. 258 millimeters of penetration are also very great. And the 340 heats, if I'm not mistaken, are very decent to play with, and they work wonders against heavily armored vehicles. But everything surrounding the gun is where we have the big issues. Like, the DPM, I have to completely look it up, but I think it's one of the worst tier 10 tank DPMs in the game. Knowing that a 279 exists with basically the same gun, but with everything better, just is, to my personal view, stupid or ridiculous to think about it. The IS-4 gun is just so frustrating. Its soft stats are bad. Its accuracy is debatable. Its aim time is a joke for its alpha strike on tier 10. And yeah, again, it's real time. Fuck me. Like, you can basically see it in most of those games. When I try to do a snapshot, it's basically impossible hit. And 9.7 seconds reload time is just so long. And yes, right now I'm very unlucky because I'm standing slightly downhill. But then again, as soon as you are standing downhill or people press the 2 key, they don't have any issues penetrating anything of your upper front plate. Like, even if you're trying to side scrape or something, your upper front plate is most of the time still a very glaring weak spot. And this is really kind of sad in my opinion. Yes, I can't have everything, but a little tiny bit of better upper front plate armor, or no, seriously, not upper front plate, at least those sides. If those sides might be like 10 millimeters thicker, that would be a godsend for the IS-4. But this wouldn't fix the tank, not by a long shot. What we need for this tank is definitely much better gun handling or gun stats in general. Because, again, just to point out, this tank is like, the DPM is so bad. 9.7 seconds, and most other tier 10 tanks nowadays around this alpha have around 8 seconds, or 8.5 seconds reload time. It just, in general, hurts when you know that you are so under-equipped against the threats which are right now looming on tier 10. Nevertheless, it's really a cool feeling to know that you could outplay somebody with a tank which is inferior to their tank. So that is always a great feeling. By the way, I didn't got the third gun mark in this game. This is a bug by the mod. I personally play the IS-4 with tank gun rammer, vertical stabilizer and optics, how I usually always play my tier 10 tanks, as I am a view range whore. And view range is very important when you want to go for your gun marks. Another thing which you generally don't really think about often when you play the IS-4 is its limited ammunition count. You basically are stuck with 30 shells. And that is very little. Yes, your DPM is bad, but it just feels so awkward knowing that, for example, the 279, if I'm not mistaken, has 40 shells, or the Herder, look at me, best tier 10 heavy medium tank in the game, 430U, has 50 rounds. And yes, I am right now comparing it to a non-reward tank, because the IS-4 is not a reward tank, so I'm also going to compare it to something everybody can get. And I still am saying that I think the 430U is way too overtuned. Lucky enough, we hit that snapshot for once, as we were able to even pre-aim a teeny tiny touch, and we got the Waffenträger auf Panzer IV. And at this point, it sounds weird. I said to my teammates, I thought I had a great game, like a really great game. And then I look at my damage numbers and my combined damage, and like 5,600 combined is not that good to what I felt, and 4K is like, I was thinking I was around 5k damage. That is what I was thinking. And yes, it sounds like, oh, you entitled brat or something, but in other tanks, I generally often think that I need to do less to get the same results as in the IS-4. Like, if you want to have a challenge, by goodness, go for it. The IS-4 is a great challenge because it's going to ruffle your jimmies. And it's just that it's frustrating to play. Like, the E100's gun handling is understandable for its 150mm gun. And it's understandable because it has this huge 750 Alpha Strike, the highest on the tier 10 heavy tank for now, with shared with the 60 TP. Because, again, in theory, you have to say that the ST2 will have 880 Alpha Strike when it decides to do the single shot or the big boom. So yeah, the IS-4 is just now stuck in a limbo where what is going to happen to it? Wargaming said at the beginning of the year that they are going to buff it. Same with the IS-50 E100, but apparently this is not going to happen until the ammo rebalancing is over. And again, I have to say that's a little bit of garbage. I think that this is just sad because, first of all, promises are promises in the end, or saying what you want to do and doing it is just kind of very bad and does reflect bad on the firm or on the company. And second, please don't forget the IS-4, even with an ammunition rebalancing, making armor or giving more focus on armor again, still has a lot of weak spots. Again, the upper front plate is not that thick. The lower plate is incredibly thin. Your roof is a huge weak spot, so are your cupolas. So the tank, the IS-4, is still littered with weak spots. Please don't forget that, because that is very important. But yeah, now we do Ruski snapshot, finally hitting something for our comrade, sideways, taunting the FV and finishing him off for 4.6k damage and 3 kills. This is what we got for the game. It was actually an ace tanker and we got the steel wall medal. 4.6k, now I'm feeling happy with the game. 3.5k damage blocked and 2k spotted, and we were top in damage and we got almost 1160 base experience with 19 shots, 13 hits and 13 pens and 1300 damage sniped. Now, again, this was a good game and this was, I think, the best game I had during the rounds, but during all those 14 rounds. But the amount of time the gun fricked you over is absolutely insane. I just want to now compare the IS-4 to several tanks on tier 10. The first one being the Object 279 early, because it's just so prominent, as the 279 early got recently-ish buffed. And just knowing that your DPM is 300 less hurts a lot. Like 300 DPM, this is almost one shot less. The IS-4 reloads around 9.7 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, and the Object 907 at 8.4. That is a lot better than what you have on the IS-4. Same goes with the aim time. 0.5 seconds quicker aim time is genuinely a lot. The 279 is even more accurate, but I don't want to say anything about 0.01 because that's mostly meaningless. But the accuracy on the move is also a lot better. You can see 0.07 more accurate and 0.02 more accurate on the turret traverse. So in general, everything except alpha strike and penetration is better on the 279. And then again, I have to ask myself, but you do know that 279 isn't completely busted. And if you compare the armor of the 279 to the IS-4, it's once again a picture you have to say, yes, the IS-4 can side scrape, but it's very easily penetrated through its side plates. Where meanwhile, the 279, as soon as it's standing above of you, is impenetrable, basically. To that, we also get mediocre mobility, and as already mentioned, they're very limited ammo capacity. At least we have 6 degrees of gun depression. This is like the only saving grace. By the way, this is a little bit of a missed opportunity to buff the IS-4. Yes, give it 8 degrees of gun repression. I don't give a shite. Don't just think about that the ST1 and the ST2, which are coming up soon, will have 8 degrees of gun depression. So you basically get a downgrade from the ST1 when you go to the IS-4. In general, what I've heard from friends and what I still know from my personal experience of is the IS-4 feels like a downgrade compared to the ST1. Sure, you have the cupola on the ST1, but again, for tier, the ST1 feels a lot more convenient to play and much better to play than the IS-4. Probably also because there's much less gold spam on tier 9 than there is on tier 10. The next tank I want to compare it is the E100 with the 15cm gun. Here I just want to point out that even the E100 is ahead with 50 DPM. It's not by much, but still ahead, and this is something you should keep in mind when you play the E100 or compare to the E100. Even the E100 is a teeny tiny touch faster backwards. But yeah, compared to the IS-4, the E100 gun at least has this big fat punch, so you can trade your HP for the enemy's HP. Still, the E100 is not far from done being good. And I'm going to release a video where I propose some buffs and changes to its armor model. So if you want to see that, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. But accuracy on the move is better on the E100, and the turret accuracy is not even that much worse than what we have on the IS-4. So then again, you have to ask yourself, yeah, the IS-4 is better for side scraping, but the gun is just horrendously bad. And I think because also some people might want to know, I can also compare it to the mouse, but bear in mind the mouse, in my personal opinion, has much better armor than the IS-4. However, the IS-4 is much slower. The mouse actually has a teeny tiny touch better DPM, but I do not want to count that because it's so marginal, it's forgettable. The penetration on standard rounds and so on and so forth, they are better, definitely. But look at that, the aim time is 0.7 seconds better. The accuracy, I don't want to count that, but accuracy on the move and during turbo traverse are also so much better. So gun stats wise, the mouse wins the cake. And I understand the IS-4 is faster for that. But what about a tank which is faster than the IS-4? Let's compare it to my favorite Rage tank, the Object 430U. DPM wise, once again, we are miles ahead. We are now at around 400 DPM, 405 DPM better. Oof. Yes, the IS-4 accuracy wise is better, but look at that accuracy on the move. The Russian, what's it called? The Russian blueprint tank, 0.12 accuracy on the move. That is ridiculous. If you think about it, it's twice as good as the IS-4's. And the turret accuracy is only slightly worse than what we have on the IS-4. And it's marginal. Obviously, the mobility is much better. If you think about the whole armor, it's actually better. It's 160 frontally and not 140, and a better angle. Yes, however, the lower plate is much bigger. And lastly, the turret of the 430U is just miles ahead of what we have in the IS-4. The IS-4 turret, yes, looks strong frontally and is not easily penetrated, but then again, you got a cupola which is 140mm thick, which I do not mind. The roof with 30mm is a little bit icky if you think about it. And I think I already showed it countless times. Our dear friend, the 430U, basically has 300mm weak spot. So, well done, Wargaming. Again, this should mean that Wargaming should now buff the IS-4 by removing its weak spots. I personally think how to buff the IS-4. I would say give the IS-4 a DPM of around 2400 might be more convenient. Give it a decent chunk better accuracy on the move, like 0.18 or something. The turret is already decent, give it 2.3 seconds aim time. This would already change a lot of issues with the IS-4. And lastly, to give the IS-4 a tiny buff more, I personally would raise the armor of those side plates by 10 millimeters, because I think 10 millimeters will already be enough to make it less convenient and less easy to penetrate them when the enemy can already on flat surfaces or flat spaces shoot down on them. Personally, I do mind that the upper front plate is rather weak, and it's in theory thickness-wise weaker than what we have on the ST1. But I don't think that is the big issue. I say that those plates need to be buffed by 10 millimeters and change the gun stats. And after that, Wargaming could use their time and their statistics and see if the IS-4 is now overperforming or still rather balanced. I don't think there is not much to be done by the IS-4 because there genuinely are enough things good already about the tank. Again, the armor is actually not bad, but I just noticed that a lot of people penetrated the sides very easily, or these side plates very easily by side scraping with gold ammunition. And the gun is just very frustrating. So when Wargaming wants to make it very minor, the buff, give it the 10 millimeters and give it better accuracy on the move. That's about it. The DPM would be the icing on the cake or the cherry on the top, and that would make me personally very happy. My name is RagingRaptor. What do you think about the IS-4? Let me know in the comment section below. What should be done better with the IS-4? Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll talk to you all in a different video. Cheers, guys.